You got it.
I think we just pressured the ball, was into him, just being real aggressive. That's what coach always emphasized. If you just, we was watching film and it's just like people wasn't really getting to him so they could run their stuff. And coach tells us to get into them so they won't be able to run their offense, and that's what we did.
We affected them with pressure. The game plan was to come in and pressure them because when we watch them on film, like Reggie said, the Big East teams wasn't really pressuring them like we could. So the key was just to come in, pressure them, defend them, make them shoot jump shots over us instead of try to beat us going inside. Because as we played the game, they was really trying to give number 0 the ball. They wanted to give it to him every play. So we just went with the game plan, double team, make somebody else beat us, and he didn't beat us.
You guys seem to have the quickness advantage at every
I thought the game went back and forth, and they got a little cushion there. We had a little cushion early on. But it went over to the final horn. So just proud of the effort of our guys. I thought they fought. We matched their physicality. I thought inside made Morgan and Duran work for everything. And I thought the guys that made a big difference in the game was the Green kid. I thought he had some clutch baskets for.
Sort of feels like the story of the season a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, just so many close games that went both ways all season.
Well, it seemed like, I talk about a team going on runs. It seemed like the games were a game of streaks, it seemed like. And we were in most every game we played this year. So we'll use that going through that. The inexperienced Carter was. Now hopefully we can gain some experience so we can win those kind of games. We've been in enough of them. But I was proud of, like I said, our guys. They held up poise, even going down the stretch in this game. And with all the things that have taken place, you lose your best player. I mean, a guy that went for 29 and 12 against these guys, and now you got to do it with other guys. But I was proud of you. Think about Isaiah. You think about Desi. I thought all those guys. I thought Gabe gave us everything they had. They gave me everything they had.
Mike, it was a tough shot, obviously, for Jalen, but he got it up. He got it off the back for him.
No, I thought it was good. I thought he had a chance. I thought he had a chance.
That kind of just heart sinks and you realize, the season's over.
Well, it's more so for the guys. I thought they played hard enough, and at times I thought they played well enough to win. You come in there, I thought we had a great chance of pulling it off. But you got to be able to make plays. Like I said, free throws, loose balls going down the stretch. We had a couple of layups that we missed right point blank.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. And I'm going to take a few minutes because somebody in the studio is still on chapter 2 but turned another page. My producer, I want to say happy birthday. Good happy birthday to Demetrius Johnson, my producer, Demigod, the home guy here of OTH. And I'm going to bring in Demetrius here shortly and let him kind of give a synopsis of how his birthday is going so early in the process. Or what's things going like for you, my man? He's still trying to get himself together as always. He's on his birthday. I'm trying to give him some shine, and he's trying to get me set up so we can have a great show. But I think we got all that taken care of. What's going on, birthday boy?
Not much, man. Trying to get settled in.
How now? What's that? What is it? Chapter 2, page 7.
Yes, sir.
Ooh-wee.
Getting on up there.
Anything?
Years from 30.
Any particular things you're trying to take care of in the next 365 days? Because it's the new 365 as of today. So you got 364 days. No, you still got 365 because today.
You know what? I plan on going back to Korea for a little bit.
Sweet, sweet. And I know, he's going to be doing some school things, so I'll be having some interns come in and learn to run the board. Just, some great career moves for this young man, and I'm really proud of him. But, want to say happy birthday. Anything good to eat today?
Nah, not yet. I might go get some Herman's, or I might go get some good old KDs. I haven't decided
Man,
yet.
that KD, woo, don't even get me started with KDs, because I sure could use a waffle. Don't get me there. We'll move on with that. But we let you kind of go back and hear audio from several games this past week. Audio from Coach Anderson, also to sophomore Mason Jones, freshman Reggie Chaney, as they conclude their season this past Saturday in Bloomington, Indiana. Also, too, I will be doing a lot of recap. You'll see a lot of highlight videos. You're going to see a lot of girls highlights, and then we're going to talk to at 1:30. Arkansas starts spring football. We're going to get back into that. We're going to bring on Otis Kirk of Hogville.net, and we're going to talk spring football recruiting. What are some more things that he's going to be looking for as Arkansas closes out spring ball? And make a note, a week from Saturday, April 6th, Arkansas will be having their spring red-white spring game in Fayetteville. And I'm really excited, but I want to bring in Demetrius real quick and get some of his takes. Arkansas getting back into spring ball, Demetrius. You've heard a lot of Trey Knox. You've heard a lot of these freshmen. Who have you wanted to hear about more of, and maybe to this point, kind of concerns you that you hadn't?
Concerns me that I had. That's a good one. Just really more from the linebackers.
Right.
I really haven't heard a lot other than Scooter's injury and periodically bumper pull. But outside of that, I really want to hear more from that linebacker position.
I think mine would have to be the offensive line, in particular, maybe more of a Colton Jackson. Want to know is he starting to accept this being his last go around? Seeing as how he was a little injured last spring, had to sit out. When fall camp came in, how is Colton's mindset and leadership to this point? I feel like the kid will have a very, very productive senior year. I've said that before here on OTH for those listen multiple times a week. But I just want to know, where is Colton? I want to see, is he being more the vocal guy on the field? Is he Demetrius, so to speak, taking the younger guys under his wing? The guys like Dalton Wagner, the guys like so many guys. So many new guys on the offensive line. The Jabuzi Nwanas, the Myron Cunninghams. Are those guys that are really challenging for his fight? That's the thing. That's the thing we get into, Demetrius. Is these guys with Colton, and the reason why I say this, they're challenging for that right and left tackle spot. But this is a senior. Where's his mindset? Has he truly bought in and is willing to give up the team, and it's going to make him better? Those are all the things I want to look at, and I just hadn't heard enough, which, not surprising, just a little concerning.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree, because I feel like that offensive line is the one position that if we can really just take another step, I think we'll have better overall yearly results at the end of the year. So I just feel like, again, we can really become something special in the SEC if we can make that jump from the offensive line we had, or I should say the offensive line play we had last year. So yes, to answer your question, that is very concerning, especially with all the hype behind the receivers that we have. Man, I think we have the potential to be a prolific offense if we can get the offensive line right.
The point you made, I will continue to add to it. I'm like you. I really am. I'm in the same position I am with Colton with the linebacker crew. With Scooter being out the remainder of spring ball. Who's been the leaders? Who's been the guys, the front runners that's going to step up and be the quarterback, so to speak, for Coach Chavis, and who can Coach Chavis lean on? I'm really curious to see which linebacker will be those guys. Also, too, there's still some questions, I think, in the secondary. Demetrius, I feel like
secondary, yeah, definitely. Will
guys like Buster and McClellan and those guys, will they relinquish the cornerback spots to the young bucks, the guys that are biting, the guys that I've always said if they're going to bite when they're little, they're going to bite when they're big, and Brooks and Bush are guys that I've seen demonstrate a lot of cockiness, but a confident cockiness, if you can understand what I'm saying. And these guys are here to play, and they're not sitting back. And I think what will those two guys, Buster and Jarquelin, who played SEC, I know they came off a redshirt year, but they got a little season. I mean, how will they be? Will they raise their level of play in that room, and will we be able to see it, Demetrius?
I'm glad you mentioned McClellan, because that was a guy that had a lot of reps last year.
Absolutely.
And not only did he have a lot of reps, that was one guy in particular that a lot of defenses scheme towards and that you really seen attack. So I think definitely with Ryan Pulley leaving early, he's going to have to make a big step, because he's probably going to be that boundary corner. I wouldn't be surprised if that initial group is Brito and McClellan. Right. He's definitely going to have to make a step, especially in his man coverage. I think he has the length, but I didn't think he really had just that physicality that you really want, just playing the type of receivers that you're going to play in the SEC. I think if he can, go ahead. I was just going to say, if he could just put a little bit more muscle on this year and kind of bulk up, but still keep the speed and the agility, I think he can be a pretty decent player, because he wasn't scared to come up and tackle. So not necessarily made all the tackles, but I could just see he wasn't scared to throw his body out there. So I think that's positive anytime you have a corner that's not as scared of attack.
And I think this staff still has some depth issues. I think that's why I think they are so savage-like on the recruiting trail. I mean, they work daylight to dawn, and it's all about recruiting, relationships, back to recruiting. So I can see the development that they're taking from that standpoint. But also, too, you still have Malik Chavis, another true freshman that's going to be coming in here, and Jalen Catalan. I mean, these are guys that are going to want to get minutes. A guy we just talked about riding in, Joe Fouché. I really feel like Joe, given more reps, will continue. And Coach Chavis talked about that, after the first Saturday spring game, about Fouché. Just reps. I think that's what a lot of these guys in the back end really need at linebacker, and in particular in that secondary. And with more reps becomes more knowledge, and knowledge is power. And I think that's what this team wants to become, very strong up the middle. Because, Demetrius, when you look at it, you have to be absolutely strong from tackle to tackle, linebacker, all the way up to your safety spots. When you're strong up the middle, just like in baseball, most of the time you're going to be the winner when the four quarters come to a conclusion.
Definitely. And I think, like I said, just going back correlating to what we were talking about the offensive line, if we can make that jump on the offensive line, because I think defensive line, we're going to see a big increase.
Right.
I think you're going to see a faster group of younger bodies. And I think you're just going to see a more aggressive style of defensive now that you have guys on the back end that kind of know their responsibility a little bit better. I think you're going to see Chief come up with a little bit more explicit blitz,
right?
And just try to get guys one-on-one in mismatches on that defensive side of the ball. I think Chief is really going to step it up a notch and really bring some things to the table that we didn't see him incorporate that first year, just from a lack of experience and a lack of understanding just the system.
Well, we're going to step away and more highlights. Caught up, got a highlight of, Isaiah Joe had a tremendous freshman season. So much so that he tied the all-time freshman SEC record with none other than the NBA lottery pick, Murray, from the Kentucky Wildcats, with 113 three-pointers. And we want to share with what Isaiah did, and this is going to be a key part for the Fastest 40 going forward. And then we'll come back more and have more conversation. If you want to chime in, you can give us a call at 601-7400, area code 479. That'll get you in to talk with Demetrius or myself, or make a note and reach out to us on our Facebook live stream or our YouTube page with any questions, and we'll do our darndest to get back with you. Back in a moment. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Hey everyone, it's Pat Jenkins here of OTH. That's right, On the Hill with Pat Jenkins, Sports Talk Radio. We come to you each and every day here, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 2 on KDSJ 479. Be sure and tune in if you want to hear about SEC and the Arkansas Razorbacks. It's OTH. Holla.
Joe, very sharp shooting freshman, hits his first three. Joe rattles another passing precedence. Yes, they did against Air. Three is good from Isaiah Joe. resume victory if they can hang on and win. The extra pass for the three, and that goes down for Isaiah Joe. Harris probing. Isaiah Joe hits the triple from the base.
Keep it on him.
Isaiah Joe waits for the flyby, and then drills another three-point basket. It's had to steal. Secondary break, Isaiah Joe waits for another flyby. 3 threes in the first half for Joe. Isaiah Joe found the...
All conference is your point guard. He's the leader of your team, so that is that's really big to have.
Game here in the second half, but Isaiah Joe red hot with his shooting, and it continues. Heat check from Isaiah Joe, and it continues. 23 for the freshman.
The way they play, they can get back in the game real fast.
Isaiah Joe's had the hot hand still in this game. Isaiah Joe's hit 8 3-pointers. He's hit 9 3-point baskets.
Another one. Conference over again to help boost that RPI for those postseason tournaments.
10 3-point baskets from Isaiah Joe. What a shooting night.
So against the Rams, Mountain West Conference. And now Jones. Arkansas is giving the Razorbacks a second chance on the opening possession. Isaiah Joe makes them pay. Another M's going to be a key component. Joe remains out hot for the Razorbacks. Joe back-to-back 3.
Playing great, but not a good decision.
Isaiah Joe, fearless Isaiah Joe.
And that's in the paint. Giving way to Isaiah AB in Missouri, came here in 2011. As the shot clock was introduced much more this season, his first look off the mark. Here's Joe again, another 3. Isaiah Joe.
Welcome back. It's on here with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and it's on this Tuesday edition of On the Hill Sports Talk Radio as we come to you live each and every day here on KDSJ. And I believe, Demetrius, we have a caller that just tuned in. Caller, who do we have?
From the Rock, baby. What's going on?
What's going on, T? Talk with us. What do you got for us here on OTH on a very sunny day in Fayetteville on Tuesday?
I want to say something that nobody else is really saying. When it comes to Mike Anderson and this basketball team, a lot of fans have preconceived notions and expectations and those kind of things. I think this is the best job of coaching I've seen from a coach in a long time. If you were to say, if you didn't mention any names at all, and you were to say, okay, any coach is bringing basically one player back that's returning from his team from the year before.
Right.
And then he's going to have to start freshmen in a leadership position at point guard, shooting guards, and maybe a couple of transfers. And none of these players have played together at all.
Good point.
And there are no 5-star athletes recruited on this team. How many people would say, one more thing, and this is a major D1. They play in a major D1, power D1 conference.
Right.
How many people would even conceive or even say this team would have a winning season at all?
Good point.
And when you put it if you put it in that perspective, and you don't mention names and you don't mention the coach, I doubt anyone would say this team would win more than 10 games. It's 10.
Right.
10 or 12 big games this year, no matter who they played. So when you put it in that perspective, you have to look at players that haven't played together, and then no leaders in the leadership position, and one player returning. You're lucky to be able to put a team on the court that can even compete for that, man. And that's what this team did. Yeah, there were a few, games that got lost control, but we competed in every game. And yeah, there were some bonehead mistakes and this, that, and other. But what do you expect from freshmen? And again, we don't have a bunch of 5-star athletes on this team.
And I like to elaborate more on that. When you say there was 12 one-possession ball games that this team was in. And you make great points. I mean, it wasn't for the lack of talent. You could tell the maturity in a lot of those losses were it wasn't so much it was just a play here or a play there. And when you're 18, 19, it's hard to come back. I think some of your points are well taken.
And then I think we just need the team needs to work on to rebound more consistently.
Right.
But we need to keep that in perspective too, because you're not going to always out rebound every team. But if you're consistent with boxing out, being in position, and those kind of things. And even more importantly, during the off season, some of our players need to get stronger, and we'll work on free throws. Because we would have won about 4 or 5 more ball games if we had hit some free throws.
Right. And at the same point, I think it was not a year, Todd, for the guard play to be so young and inexperienced in this conference. I mean, you look at the 4 SEC teams that's moved on to that Sweet 16. All of those you're dealing with, outside of Kentucky, for the most part, you're dealing with those juniors and senior backcourts. You know, guys that are 4th and 5th year guys, you know, to take it a step further. And I just felt like Arkansas, for what you said and for what Coach Anderson and that staff were able to do. You know, Isaiah Joe is a guy that, you know, before the season, if you have C.J. Jones, you have the Darius Halls, he's not a guy that you're expecting to walk in and be a starter, you know. But for when he was able to, you know, the situation he was put in, I thought this staff did a great job. But, you know, they still have some more work to do. When you look at this team, what do you think this team really needs? Give me 2 positions of need for this team to be an NCAA tournament team, in your opinion, Tom.
Well, you know, one thing is the size of help. We need some. We need a couple of power forward guys to that have some size, but not be athletic, can move down up and down the floor, but can also be present on the offensive end. And I may be a little bit the opposite on what some of the coaches may say. Some coaches look for a guy who's a defensive guy. I think defense you can learn to be a better defensive player.
Right.
But if you're either offensive minded or either you're not. You can work on your offense, but if you're not offensive minded and you're not working on, okay, I'm coming out here, I'm gonna score some points.
Right.
Then I don't care how much you work on your offensive end. So we need some kids to be able to put their ball in the basket. And last but not least, we need our guys need to mature, and the most important position on the court is point guard. When Arkansas has been good, from the Lee Mayberries and Corey Beck, it's not because they scored 25 points a ball game.
Right.
It's because they know what to do when things get a little rough on the court, how to settle the team, where to go. If they need to make a play, if they need to drop to the basket and dish to do something, they knew exactly what to do and when to do it. And we need that kind of leadership from that position next year.
Well, I think, Arkansas, if they can get a guy like Javian Hamlet, JUCO, first teamer out of Northwest Florida, junior college, by way of Memphis, Tennessee, went to sign with Buffalo, left Buffalo, who also is friends with Jalen Barford, played at Motlow. So there's a connection there. Dad, ironically, is from the West Memphis area. Arkansas is really putting a lot of emphasis, as T.J. Cleveland was out to see he and Kane Henry, another 6'7", guy that is a bucket getter. And, from all intents and purposes, Todd, several press conferences toward the latter part of that year, you could tell Coach Anderson was always, he needs to get older. And, my last point was, if you'll go back and look at this Arkansas program, you go back to Eddie Sutton, Nolan Richardson, and the coaches that's come after those guys, it's been about getting your state's best. You're going to get a couple of national ranked kids. Get you a couple kids out of Memphis and then surround them by some of the elite JUCO kids, because I think that's what Arkansas is. That's what this program has been built on, and I think they need to get back to that. Look at all the JUCOs on our national championship run with Nolan Richardson. We all can. There's several of those great JUCO players. I know a lot of the fan base around the state can name. But once you understand who you are and the type of program and support it from a fan base and put the resources in place, I think this team can really get back. But thanks for your call. I agree with you. I think this is one of Coach Anderson's better job. But, hey, feel free to call us anytime, my man. And thanks for taking time out on the hill.
All right, have a good day.
All right, Todd. That was Todd from Little Rock. He always calls us, and he has great insight. But we're going to step away with more highlights. I think we want to step away and give you a little bit of that girls take and let you feel a little bit of that WNIT excitement they've been providing. Then we'll come back and talk spring football as the Razorbacks hit the field. Coach Mo and the gang today. We'll talk with Otis Kirk of Hallville.net. He's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a moment.
Have a new life in the NIT. And with this type of team, whether it be practice or games, that's going to be so instrumental in your development. Because what you're doing, you're developing their mindset of playing for championship. But to go to the Big East and play at Providence, that's going to pay off big dividends. And then coming here to a hostile environment, and they're playing much better than they were early in the year. And so what that is a signal to our guys is that we can play with anybody, and just get a little more seasoning, get a couple more pieces to go with what we got. We will be better. I know that. Hold up, say it again now.
Isaiah tied the SEC freshman record, Jamal Murray's record.
Oh, did he? Okay, okay.
113. And then Isaiah, the last 8 games was 18 and 28 on threes. That's what we say, 65%. What do you think about what Desi did down the stretch from three-point? What do you think about, really what Joe did all year, but especially kind of the SEC record?
It tells you the potential of those guys in our team. I think we got the right guys, and obviously throughout the year they've gotten better. I think even Isaiah, as people start challenging him, he was on a record pace early on, and then people really started, once we got the conference, really getting into him. And I think you saw his savvy starting to take place, and him learning from that and getting away from people and creating, getting to the basket. So now you put in an off season where you get in the weight room, get stronger, eat a little bit more, and he's going to be even better, I think. Desi obviously got the opportunity to really impact the team even more so. And I thought he took the ball and he ran with it. And you can just see the confidence is soaring right now.
Welcome back in. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, before we get to our special guest, Otis Kirk of hogweb.net, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, and office location also too in Rogers. Also the Baymont Hotel, located at 735 South Shiloh Drive in Fayetteville, and also Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. And lastly, our newest sponsor, Corey Beck's Custom Painting. I want to give a shout out to all you guys, as this would not be possible. But now on to our special guest. Arkansas kicks off spring practice today on the practice field. We will be in attendance, but I want to bring on a good friend of mine who does a great job for hogville.net, Otis Kirk. Otis, welcome back, my man.
Well, hey, Pat, always thanks for having me on here, man.
Let's get into it. They're putting back on the helmet and pads and getting back after it, Otis. After the first part of spring football, what will you be looking for, toward the latter part as they finish out this spring season under Chad in year 2?
You want to see them, try to end it on a positive note, and that covers some broad ground. I mean, one, you don't have any devastating injuries, anything new. Maybe get those running backs back. You keep everybody healthy as possible. You try to end it, feeling a lot better about yourself after 15 practices than you did before you started the first one, or even after the first one. So, there's some things that Arkansas needs to do is just find some way to end it on a positive note. Keep as many people healthy as possible. Avoid major injuries. I mean, you may get, twisted ankle or something, but nothing to keep somebody from being back, in the near future in the summer so they can get in the workout. But just try to end on a positive note and set the tone, maybe develop some more leadership. I think that's way underestimated is leadership. I think, people talk about the coaches got to do this and do that. Man, it's nothing like your peers. The players, when they come in, you got somebody with a strong message from the players, not going to let this happen again, not going to let that happen again. That carries a lot of weight, Pat, and I think that gets overlooked by a lot of people.
When you look at some of the guys that's had a lot of, or I should say played a lot of SEC football, who are some of the guys that maybe you expected more out of, that maybe you're not seeing, or is it just one of those things you're still the jury's still out before you can make your final, assessment?
Yeah, I think you still wait and see. You want to feel good about, You know, I mean, Dijon's a great leader, but you want to feel good about that other linebacker spot, Bumper Pool, but not just starting. You want to feel good about who's going to be in there ready to play if there's an injury, you know. I mean, you know, the offensive line, you know, you got some guys there that can step into some roles and leadership and stuff. But I think, you know, I mean, obviously guys like, you know, I mean, a lot of the new Trey Hawkins kid that's just come in and really wowed people. But,
Right.
yeah, I mean, this kid's real. I mean, he really is. But I think Devwall Whaley is a kid that needs to get back healthy, you know, to help lead this team and show some, you know, leadership and ability there. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if we've ever seen the true Devwall that's capable of coming out. I mean, this kid was recruited by everybody in the country and 4-star for a reason, and you know, he showed flashes, but you know, injuries have hampered him some. If he can stay healthy, I think you'll see the real Devwall Whaley and Rakeem Boyd too. I mean, so
Good point.
you know, and Chase Hayden. So Arkansas's got some good options on the team. Just got to, you know, I want to see how Ben Hicks finishes up spring. I mean, you know, we'll see that. I mean, I think that's important. You know, guys behind him. So we'll see.
That's the $1 million question, Otis. Who will be the starting quarterback? We know Chad, you know, had been at SMU, also too while at SMU recruited Starkle. You know, how do you think this thing's going to play out? And also too, when you look at KJ Jefferson, I think benefits the most because now he gets a true year to redshirt, come in, be a backup for a year, and when, you know, in year 4, when this thing should get to rolling at a high level, has a greater understanding, can walk in and get 3 years. Is, you know, when you look at that and you're Chad, you got to have to feel good about the future of that quarterback room, don't you?
Yeah, you do, and I think Ben Hicks has got the inside track on starting, and I think Starkle's going to come in. I think Connor Nolan's a kid we can't forget about. But what I'd like to do, I'd like to see them use KJ as long as this rule stays the same, and I'm assuming it will about the 4 games and still maintain a red shirt. I'd like to see KJ used in that regard, you know, and let him get his feet under him here in the SEC and college. It's just a different game. Speed of the game and stuff, but yeah, I mean, 4 games, you know, I mean, hey, that's third of the regular season. I mean, you can get a lot of action in those 4 games, and I hope that's how they use it. And that by chance somehow, you know, if KJ proves that, you know, hey, he's your best option right now, then you use him. But otherwise, you don't want to see him use 2 or 3 plays, you know, in game 5. 2 or 3 in game 6 and waste a year. I think he's too good a ball player to do that. And I think he really, that's what the future looks like at that position at Arkansas, guys like KJ who are dual threats. But we'll see. But I know Hicks, Starkle, Connor, you know, and then KJ, and then, you know, obviously, you know, you got to throw John Stephen in there too. Right. And then, you know, Lindsey is, yeah, I mean, they've just got some guys that the battle is on, and it's going to be interesting. But and it's not just, I mean, I really think it'd be an upset if Ben Hicks didn't start the first game simply because he's the one going through spring and stuff. You know, KJ, Starkle, and Connor are really not out there this spring, so I think Ben gets started. But will he be the starter in game 4, game 3, game 5? You know, who will be the starter, say, after the Ole Miss game? Who will be the starter after the Texas A&M game? Because if you remember, Cole Kelly went into the season #1 last year, and that lasted 1 game. So, I mean, that's why I say I don't know what kind of leash that but I think Ben's got the inside track to start simply because I'm not going to say by default because I think he'll earn it, but you don't have Connor out there for the most part. You don't have KJ at all. You don't have Starkle at all. So really, I mean, I think Ben Hicks goes into the season #1. Now, what he does with that, it's just like, you know, Cole Kelly, Ty Story, and anyone else that's had that position, Austin Allen. What will he do with it?
Talking with Otis Kirk of Hallville.net. We got about 1.5 minutes, Otis, left here on this segment, but I want to talk to you real quick. Arkansas real busy on their first day back in the recruiting trail. Multiple offers, Texas, Louisiana. Any good news? Any kids going to be making their way to Fayetteville this weekend that maybe the listeners and fan base might want to know about?
Yeah. You know, Isaiah Jacobs will be here. This is his 3rd prospect day since January. It's his 3rd since January the 26th. He was here March the 9th. He'll be here. He got his offer on the January 26th. He'll be here this weekend, and this will be his 3rd prospect day since January 26th. You know, yeah, Tetro Wallace is a kid from Bryant that I love, absolutely love. 6'6" linebacker. What's there to not love about him? He's a winner. He won the state championship. You know, Bryce Cooper just announced, on Twitter earlier that he'll be here this weekend, linebacker out of Louisiana. So, yeah, they've got kids coming in. A kid with a good name, Patrick Jenkins from. I mean, you know that kid can play. Yeah, defensive end out of Louisiana. He'll be here, and so I mean, with that name, he's got to be a stud.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's his name, Patrick Jenkins. So yeah, I laughed when I wrote that earlier. I thought it was right before you text me asking if I could come on today. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they got some good prospects for him. I really think the two to watch is Isaiah Jacobs and Tetro Wallace. I mean, Wallace, one of the best players in the state of Arkansas, and
absolutely.
I think he could pull the trigger this weekend.
Well, as always, Otis, love your insight. I'll catch up with you here in a couple hours. As you know, when they start, we're there. But as always, my man, thanks for taking time out here on OTH.
Thanks for asking me, Pat. See you.
All right. That'll wrap it up. That was Otis Kirk of Hogville.net. And we're going to step away, get a real quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap this thing up. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit. Woo.
I was pleased as we were productive on Saturday, and even today offensively. I think that you see obviously what Ben Hicks has done in that room, and was pleased to see some of the decision making that he had Saturday. Very pleased with John Stephen. I thought he had his best day Saturday that he's had since he's been here. Very pleased with that. Jack Lindsay got the third reps with us and threw the ball really well. Obviously, the wind was a little bit of a factor Saturday, but our quarterbacks did a great job managing that. So I think our quarterback play is definitely elevating a lot of things right now in all areas, and I think that they're getting a great chemistry with the wide receivers.
You're going to have to put Chase Hayden in bubble wrap because we were looking, he might have been the only scholarship running back out there. And any other movement, guy, maybe Hayden Johnson taking the snap?
Coming back to Chase Hayden on that, what a great opportunity for him, man. He can't get enough reps. Man, if I'm him, I'm wanting every rep. And so I'm Chase Hayden. I'm seeing that as an opportunity for me to get as many reps as I can possibly get and get better. So I like that. I like the fact that he's in there and getting as many reps as he can. Hayden Johnson moved from tight end to running back today. Heck, we took a couple of receivers and put them back there, and that's okay. It is what it is. You got to improvise. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for us. And,
welcome back.
I'm not gonna feel sorry for us. And
welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Tuesday edition here of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. We're going to be making our way out. Arkansas starts spring football. They kick it back off and get things organized for year two under the Chad Morris and staff. I really feel like, Demetrius, we just had on Otis Kirk of Hallville.net. This is going to be a team that goes bowling. I'm looking at more of the 6-7 win plateau, which I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a step in the right direction. And the reason I want to tell you why I think it's 6-7 wins, because I see more of the leadership. I see younger guys pushing older guys. And you know as well as I know, when you're an older veteran, I don't care what it is you're doing, you don't want that young guy coming in and taking your spot. So it raises your sense of urgency. And that's the thing that I really see taking place during this spring season. A lot of sense of urgency. I see guys, and I know that the spring Saturday that you were there, I see guys jumping into that blood pit, or I used to call it bulldog drill in my day. I see guys jumping in that weren't jumping in necessarily 2 or 3 years ago, because they see those freshmen jumping in. And I think with having these freshmen on campus and these JUCO young men, the Myrons and the Chabuzis, they're raising their awareness and alertness, and they're really pushing these kids. And I think that's going to do nothing but help this team, because it's teaching them, iron to sharpen iron. Don't you think, Demetrius, before we get out of here?
For sure. I think you really hit a good synopsis of where the team is at. I do think 5 or 6 wins is where they're sitting right about it. I think 6 wins really will be good for Chad Morris, which will give him some, hopefully more practices for that bowl game. So I actually ended up being possibly 7 for that ceiling.
Right.
So I'm just really eager. And then when you said the leadership, yes, I have seen a big leadership improvement. Guys like Pluck, guys like Sosa again. Guys like Devil are really stepping up, and I think that's really what the team was missing. I think once you have your leadership in line and knowing the vision for what's to be achieved, I think you get a better product any time. So.
Well, I think that he said it best. There's nothing else for me to say, but a big thank you to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, with an office location in Rogers, an office location right here, too, in Fayetteville. The Baymont Hotel, located at 735 South Shiloh Drive in Fayetteville, and Locomotion, just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. And lastly, our newest sponsor, Corey Beck's Custom Painting. Also, too, want to give a shout-out to our guest, Otis Kirk of Hogville.net, and let you all know tomorrow's show we'll have a lot of audio. Also to Alyssa Orange of KNWA. She'll